This is K1DBC. All stations please stand by. The Denver Radio Club Learning Net starts in 5 minutes.
This is the Amp Hour Podcast. Released May 28th, 2018. Episode 394. Jerry Ellsworth and the Demise of s.t.e.m.
Welcome to the Amp Hour. I'm Dave Jones from the EEV blog.
And I'm Chris Gamble of Contextual Electronics.
And I'm Jerry Ellsworth of Super Stealthy Can't Tell You About It Startup.
She's back.
Yeah. Welcome back, Jerry. How you doing?
It's a pleasure to be back. It's been forever.
Yeah.
How many years? Do you have
done a couple
date,
startups
Chris?
since, yeah?
Yeah, I think I'm on Startup 2 since the last time I was in there, or 3.
Yeah.
Actually, 3.
Well, that's not many. Don't they average 18 months or something and then flop and then,
You're saying all startups, Dave, right?
I'm sorry, in all startups in general. The average, what's the average lifespan of a startup?
Right.
Yeah, a lot of early death, let's say, especially here in Silicon Valley.
A lot of infant mortality. Is that
That's what I was looking for.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, so what have you been up to? I saw you made a couple of videos with ham stuff recently. Has that been a big piece of the Jerry life lately?
It has. It's been a great distraction with all the other stuff going on. So I got into doing ham radio stuff a couple years ago. That was fun. Ham radio operators had been mentors in my life ever since I was really small and young, but it took me 30 years to actually get a license.
Wow. Okay.
Wow.
Yep. It was pretty fun. I went to the local ham fest and blasted through all the 3 tests in one sitting. It was kind of fun because the kind of old farts there were cutting up with me and oh, you came late, and usually there's not enough time to make it through 2 tests. And I'm like, well, I'm going to see how I can do. And I was only intending to do 2 of the tests.
Right.
And so
you did what's the technician, then general, then extra? Is that right?
Yeah. So actually,
nice.
I blew the technician quite badly. I missed quite a few of them because I just didn't study any of the rules. Because who cares about rules?
Yeah, bugger that.
And then the general, I knocked it out of the park. I got 100% on it. And then the old farts had changed their tune. They're like, oh, maybe you should try the extra. And I'm like, well, I didn't even really study for that. And they're like, just do it anyway. And I went through it. It was a lot of head scratching. It's like, oh, yeah, Smith charts. I look at those once every 5 years. Yeah.
Right, yeah.
I pulled it off.
I couldn't pull that out of my brain if I tried Smith charts. I don't think it would come back to me.
Dave, I don't think you'd be pulling it out of your brain, buddy.
It was also kind of fun, too, because it was at this ham convention. So the rumors started going around hey, there's this girl that passed all of her tests. And then it grew. She aced them all. And, of course, I didn't do anything to deny it.
Right.
Building the myth.
How is the ham scene? Is it still crusty old greybeards? Is it or is it changing?
It's about the same.
I'll continue to play this here in just a minute. And this is a podcast, the Amp Hour. Check them out. This is number 394. Jerry Ellsworth, guest speaker. So let's get the intro of the net, and then I'll go back to that for a minute, and we'll get things started. This is K1DBC. The DRC Learning Net will start in 1 minute. All stations please stand by while the repeaters are placed into net mode.
PL on.
Also kind of fun, too, because it was at this ham convention. So the rumors started going around hey, there's this girl that passed all of her tests. And then it grew. She aced them all. And, of course, I didn't do anything to deny it.
Right.
Building the myth.
Is the how is the ham scene? Is it still crusty old greybeards? Is it like, or is it changing?
It's about the same as I remember since I was a kid. I remember,
Right.
back in the 80s, I'd go over to these ham radio guys' house, and they'd be like in their woodshed in the back that they converted into the ham shack so they could chain smoke and drink beer away from their wives, I think. But they were
Yep.
always like old farts, like complaining, like, ham radio's dead. It's going to be dead in like
Right.
2
Save
years.
these days. Right.
Exactly the same. It's just like the same discussions.
Yep.
Except they're all 30 years older.
All right, so I'll play a few more minutes of that on the outro, but yeah, check out Jerry Ellsworth, pretty cool character, Amp Hour podcast, Dave Jones, Chris from Contextual Electronics, really cool stuff here. So let's get into the net here. Hello, and welcome back to the Denver Radio Club Learning Net. This is K1DBC. This is a great place to learn about ham, radio, and STEM topics in general, and thankfully we have plenty of combined experience and expertise. My name is Daron, and I am Net Control. We meet every Wednesday, except for the third Wednesday of the month, excuse me, 7:30 p.m. Mountain Time, on 145.490 and 448.625. Both have a negative offset. On 2 meter, you use a negative 600 kilohertz offset, meaning you transmit on 144.890. And on 70 centimeter, you use a negative 5 megahertz offset, meaning you transmit on 443.625. This net can be broken at any time for emergency or priority traffic by using the word break. Is there any emergency or priority traffic at this time? Oop, was I muted for that? Sorry if I was. No, it's just not unmuting it here. You can contact us via email at drclearningnet@gmail.com or elmer@W0TX.org. We also post info on groups.io/g/ham learning net, as well as stream and archive our nets on YouTube.com. You can search for the club's call sign, Whiskey 0 Tango X-Ray, or my call sign, K1DBC, and you should be able to find those. Would anyone this evening like to participate in net control duties? Check-in, script reading, moderating conversation. This is K1DBC Net Control. Anyone who's listening with tech class or above and has access to the repeater, if you'd like to help with the net control duties this evening, please call now. This is K1DBC Net Control. We will begin by inviting Elmers only to check in. With or without traffic, all Elmers, please check in now.
Alpha 0, Juliet Kilo. AA0, JK. Good evening with traffic.
All right, this is K1DBC Net Control. I'd like to welcome and acknowledge the following Elmers. AA0JK Fred with traffic. Again, Elmer is more of an older term, but it's really just if you have some expertise on something or something to contribute, and you'd like to put that out there. Nothing comes with that, really. So, but I'll put it out there once more. If you'd like to check in as an Elmer with or without traffic, all Elmers, please check in now. All other check-ins to this net will be taken in alphabetical groups based on the first letter of the suffix of the operator's call sign. That is the first letter after the number in your call sign. If you can, please try to use ITU phonetics for your call sign as you check in, and indicate if you have traffic or questions as you do. If your suffix begins with the letters A through M, Alpha through Mike, please check in now.
Whiskey 0, Bravo Kilo Sierra, Barb in Wheat Ridge. No traffic.
Kilo 0, Lima, Papa Romeo, Lanier and Inglewood.
Kilo 0, Kilo Papa Sierra, Kevin Lakewood.
Kilo 6, Hotel Juliet Victor, K6HJV, Tom Arvada, no traffic.
Kilo 0, Lima, Alpha India, K0 LEI, Larry in Lakewood, no traffic.
Foxtrot 0, Alpha Foxtrot, Quebec, Troy and Denver, no traffic.
This is K1DBC Net Control. I'd like to welcome knowledge the following check-ins. W0BKS Barb, again, second week in a row or whatever it is, but signal sounding great, so whatever we were hearing before seems to be resolved. So, yeah, sounding great on your signal there, Barb. Then we had K0 LPR Lanier, K0 KPS Kevin, K6 HJV Tom, K0 LAI Larry, and KF0 AFQ Troy. Thank you all so much for checking in. One more call at the moment. If your call suffixes begins with A through M, Alpha through Mike, please check in now. Okay, we'll go ahead and open up the whole alphabet. This is K1DBC Net Control for the Denver Radio Club Ham Learning Net. If you'd like to check in just for the count, or if you have any comments or questions, if your suffix begins with the letters A through Z, Alpha through Zulu, please check in now.
Kilo Echo 0, November Romeo Echo, Jim in Littleton with traffic. Kilo Golf 5, Papa Delta Foxtrot, Jake, Denver, no traffic.
WD0CIV, WD0CIV, Charles and Denver, no traffic.
For 0, Tango Romeo Papa, Jim in Lakewood. Good evening.
Kilo Delta 0, Whiskey, Papa, Quebec, Tom and Aurora with a question.
Kilo 0, Yankee Echo Sierra, Ken in Broomfield, no traffic.
Okay, let's see how well I did on that. KD5 PDF. That's what I thought. Jake. Oh, KG. But I thought he said something else. Okay, let's get back to it. This is K1DBC Net Control. Okay. Yeah, still. That time we had KE0 NRE Jim. There was a double in there, and then I believe it was KG5 PDF Jake, and then we had WD0CIV Charles, N0TRP Jim, KD0WPQ Tom, with a question, and K0YES Ken. Thank you all for checking in. If I missed your call sign and you had just tried to call in, or if you had indicated you have any traffic or questions and I missed that, go ahead and call back.
Kilo Echo Zero, Sierra Uniform Mike, Jonathan, Lakewood.
All right, we had KE0 S.t.e.m. Jonathan. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for checking in. Again, we'll open up the whole alphabet once more. If you would like to check into the Denver Radio Club Ham Learning Net, this is just a general net about electronics, ham radio, STEM, s.t.e.m, electronics, etc., etc. Plenty of combined expertise and experience. So if you'd like to check in for the count, or if you have any comments or questions, please call now using IG Phonetics for your call sign if you can. Let us know your name, and if you have any traffic or questions, please call now. All right, this is K1DBC Net Control. Again, welcome everyone to the Denver Radio Club Ham Learning Net. There'll be plenty of opportunities to check in officially throughout the net here. I do stream the nets on YouTube. You can search for our club call sign W0TX on YouTube. You can see video of what's going on, kind of behind the scenes. You can always chat in there or check in online if you have any comments or questions. Again, more info on our club, W0TX.org. Another reminder I'll have at the end of the meeting here, but our next presentation, December 15th, lithium batteries, presented by Marcel AI6MS. More info on our club, W0TX.org. With that, you're more than welcome to check in at any given time, really. If there's any, if no one's speaking, you're more than happy to check in or chime in with any given thing. With that, though, I'll throw it over to Fred, AA0JK. The net is yours. Go ahead.
AA0JK, good evening, everyone. And it looks like we've got a great turnout here this evening. Thank you, everyone, for checking in. And what do we have on the poster board here? Our roundtable is out for your enjoyment. Check that out whenever you get a chance there. It's on the W0TX website. If you aren't on the mailing list there and already have received that address, just go to the roundtable there and bring that up. We've got, as I mentioned last session that we had, I posted that FCC renewal address there on the roundtable under the Learning Net article. So for anyone here in the upcoming near future that wants to avoid a lot of confusion that is usually found on the FCC webpage, use this email address and it'll get you directly into the amateur radio's area there for renewing your license. And let's see here. Boy, I tell you, looking at the probability of some decent propagation there for all those HF hunters there for DX. Looks like we're going to be up at least here the next week or so with pretty fair conditions. We got a bunch of bright spots that are on the surface of the Earth-facing solar disk that are not expected to flare, so no radio blackouts, and they're predicting some fair conditions there. So get in there and take the opportunity of chasing some DX. Also, the mailbox had the latest QST, the December issue of QST. And paging through it, the first thing that hit me was some sad news. And that we lost our ultimate Elmer, Joe Hallis, W0TX. What a fantastic Elmer. He was gracious enough to answer some of my personal questions and help me understand a little bit better some of the areas that seem to confuse me, untangled things, and made them a little bit more understandable. But what an amazing, amazing individual. Ultimate Elmer. He had a bachelor's degree in electrical engineering. He worked for Raytheon as a radar system engineer. Worked at GTE as a nuclear weapons electronic pulse analyst, and worked in satellites and terrestrial communication systems, as well as working for IBM and AT&T, and even was a teacher taught at college levels in the universities. But what a loss. But anyhow, we will carry on. And let's see, what else? In the latest December issue, for those antenna buffs, got an article there on an in-bed vertical. If you've got room to run up a 30 plus foot pole there. And also for the kit enthusiasts, K1RO's got a transceiver kit there that might be of interest to you. So I think I pretty much got the list covered there. If you have any questions or comments there, you can always contact me at Elmer at W0TX.org. That's Elmer at W0TX.org. Back to net control. This is AA0JK.
All right, AA0JK Fred, this is Daron, Net Control, K1DBC. Thanks again, always, for such great information and bringing up recent news and our weather reports, if you will. Our solar weather reports are always good to look at. Information on the bottom of the W0TX.org webpage. You'll see the gray line propagation map, as well as a photo of the propagation information. Dr. Tamitha Skov, Solar Weather Woman, great resources as well over on Tamitha Skov on Twitter and whatnot. And let's see, you also mentioned, unfortunately, sad passing of Whiskey 1ZR, Joel Hallis. Definitely huge resource to ARL and the community in general. So be big shoes to fill, unfortunately. And but I'm sure, hopefully, a lot of people have learned quite a lot from him, and hopefully we'll see some brighter futures. So as well as the round table, as you mentioned, again, more information, W0TX.org, your Learning Net report, with a link to the FCC.gov ULS Universal Licensing System to renew, and plenty of info in the latest QST magazine. So thanks again, everything there, Fred. Okay, this is K1DBC Net Control. I'll throw it out to the net. Does anybody have any comments, questions in regards to anything that Fred has brought up so far? Please call now. All right, this is K1DBC Net Control. Actually, just take this time to officially take further check-ins. If you're just tuning in, my name is Daron, call sign K1DBC. You're listening to the Denver Radio Club Ham Learning Net. A very casual conversation about ham radio, STEM topics in general. Thankfully, we have plenty of combined expertise and experience. So if you'd like to check in over the air, you're more than welcome to at this point in time. Please try to use IT Phonetics if you can for your call sign, and let us know your name, and if you have any comments or questions, please call now. Once more, this is K1WBC Net Control. If anybody would like to check in, at the moment over the air, please do so with your call sign, your name, and let us know if you have traffic or questions. Please call now. Again, as mentioned, you're more than welcome also to check in online if you're not licensed, and you can have kind of a behind-the-scenes view of net control operations, at least for me, and listen to the net still. So I bring up videos and things about what we're speaking about. So again, if you search on YouTube for our club's call sign W0TX, you can find that. With that, though, we'll throw it over to Tom, KD0WPQ, with a question. Go ahead.
Well, good evening, Net, and thank you. And I'm just starting, after being exclusively on 2 meters and 70 centimeters, I'm just starting to explore getting on the air on HF, and I've been shopping and trying to educate myself. And I have a question about what goes between the radio and the antenna, and specifically what does an analyzer do that a tuner SWR meter doesn't? How many boxes do I need between the box and the sky?
JK.
Great question there, Tom, KD0WPQ. Definitely a great question there. Yeah, I'm sure Fred might mention, but probably a good guide would be the your first amateur radio HF station by ARL, item number 79 here. But yeah, there's definitely a lot of equipment that you need potentially to make an HF station work correctly. So I'll throw it over to Fred, AA00K. Go ahead.
AA0JK. Okay, let's try to keep this simple. Number one, you really don't need an analyzer unless you are into fabricating and experimenting with different antennas. Just use the commercially available antennas, and they'll all be within spec. Or if you're just going to put up, make yourself a dipole or homebrew antenna there that it's got the specs laid out there for you. Just make that antenna to the specs that are published, and you really aren't going to need an analyzer. Now, if you want to get serious and start experimenting, then yes, the analyzer comes into play. But don't concern yourself with that at this point in time. Get your station set up. And as far as what goes on between the transmitter and the antenna and chasing the SWR, chasing SWR can be futile. And unless it's really off the scale, it's kind of a waste of time to chase that number, because there's quite a tolerance level there as far as getting good performance from your radio and antenna. And what goes on between the radio and the antenna is what we call the feed line. And that feed line consists of either a twin lead or a coax. And in most cases, you're going to find that the best way to go is the coax feed line line can present some issues. Yes, it is a timeout.
Didn't it? I thought maybe I didn't. Well, Fred, if you're listening, that timed out. Sorry about that. I thought I turned the tone off, or the Let's see if I can. I don't think I can fix that for like another 60 seconds. Let's see. That's funny. Not funny, haha, funny, but no. Okay, well, we'll get to take a quick minute break here. My bad on that. Was not paying attention close enough. So yeah, when you're doing net control, make sure when you're putting it into net mode, it actually goes into net mode. Thanks again, everyone, for tuning here on YouTube. Appreciate that. N1ZTT, I didn't even see you there for some reason. Got you checked in, though. Bob got you checked in as well. The repeater will come back here in just a minute or so. Probably right there. This is K1 DBC Net Control.
Kilo 0, Kilo Papa Sierra with a quick comment.
I guess I didn't turn net mode. I guess it didn't take it, Larry. KPS, give me just a second here. I guess net mode didn't get enabled when I tried to do it the first time. Let me put it back in it. Let me try to put it in net mode here again.
On 44865.
God dang it. What was he saying? PL off. At least it said PL. Okay. Sorry about that, Kevin. I was putting it to net mode there. Well, go ahead with your comment, though.
Yeah, I lost Fred halfway through that transmission on the 448625 side, so I don't know if he lost him on the VHF side, too. So that's all I have. K0, KPS, back to that.
All right, this is K1DBC. Okay, yeah, no, that was my fault. I didn't fully put it into net mode, I guess, when I did it. I just you got to be careful. I was just talking about the YouTube channel here. Yeah, just I put the correct tones in, but I guess it didn't take it. So that was my fault. It was not in net mode, and it timed out. So Fred, hopefully you may have been watching the YouTube and you saw that. But if you want to go ahead and try to continue, go ahead. A0JK, this is K1DBC Net Control.
Okay, can somebody give me some kind of idea where I was at when it cut me off?
KPS, you were talking about the feed line going to the antenna, and after that, everything else got cut off.
Okay, thank you very much there for that. And let's see, as far as the feed line there going to your antenna, you asked about what's going on there between the your radio and the antenna. Basically, if you're using just a commercial antenna, and there should be, using just basic coax, you're going to be just fine. Keeping it simple. There's also, you've got the twin lead, which has some idiosyncrasies there that you might want to avoid at first. Kind of stick with the coax, but other than that, I don't think that you're going to need antenna analyzers unless you plan on doing some experimenting building antennas. And as far as the SWR is concerned, if you have a commercial-made antenna or have put together an antenna by the specs of some of these articles going out, you shouldn't have any problems as far as SWR is concerned, unless you got some real serious problems. In the SWR, you're going to see that coming up on a lot of these modern radios. But don't expect to see or chase one-to-one SWR. It's kind of a waste of time. But I hope that pretty much covers it. It sounds like you're on the right track. Carry on. If you have any further questions, you can reach me at Elmer at W0TX.org. AA0JK, back to net control.
All right, this is K1DBC Net Control. Thank you so much, A0JK Fred, with that information there. Yeah, sorry for that technical interruption there. But KD0WPQ Tom, yeah, as mentioned, if you're buying a commercial product, you shouldn't need to really mess around with an analyzer or a tuner. That product should really come with a predefined way to tune it between bands and whatnot, and you should be able to get away with not really having that. But as mentioned, the more you maybe try to build custom antennas, things like that, and or really kind of just want to have some questions answered about what's actually going on. Some of these are cheaper. We have like the Nano VNA line of products, things like that. These are about $50 antenna analyzers. So the cost of entry is fairly minimal for some of this stuff, but some of the equipment is still there's some barrier to entry with some of the cost. There's just a lot going on as we talk about this hobby is RF engineering, electrical engineering. So it's a hobby, but it's also people go to school for 4+ years to understand it and try to practice it and do that. So I'll throw it over to you, WPQ Tom. If you have any follow up on that, go ahead.
No, that does clear things up quite a bit for me. And can you repeat that ARRL publication number that you referenced before?
Yes, of course. That is 79, actually, just 79. It's titled Your First Amateur Radio HF Station by Steve Ford, WB8IMY. Again, item number 79, about $20. They go into selecting your first HF radio, putting up antenna, how to choose an antenna, how to choose a radio, evaluating accessories, kind of as you were speaking there, from computers and amplifiers to mics, keys, and more. Learn which accessories will add the most enjoyment and convenience to your operating, ensure efficiency and safety, learning how to properly power your equipment and how to keep lightning away from your gears. So a pretty good just basic introduction for how to get HF on the air. As long as you're kind of using maybe commercial products, you shouldn't have to maybe go down some of that more experimental route. Item number 79 from ARL.
Comment.
Yeah, Fred, A0JK with a comment. Go ahead.
Yeah, give HRO a call. They might have that publication on their shelf there. HRO. Back to net control.
Great plug there as well. The ham radio outlet, we're a fairly niche hobby, but we have quite a lot of experience in the hobby running businesses and nonprofits. So thankfully we have a company like Ham Radio Outlet that has quite a few locations throughout the continental United States. So you could go pick that publication up locally, as well as quite a few, anything else you're looking for. Yeah, that's just over on in Aurora, over on I think Alameda. So very cool. Thank you, Fred.
W0TX repeater.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate the help from both of you on KD0WPQ.
All right. Absolutely. WPQ, not a problem. Yeah, and thanks there, Fred, and everyone else who had any follow-up there. Yeah, don't hesitate to... I mean, some of the HF equipment is a bit costly, so there is a cost to it when you're buying commercial products, and but it's guaranteed to really work. So this is a hobby, most like a lot of other hobbies, whether it's boating or any other costly hobby. You put your expenses where you want, and you just kind of have to read up on it, and there's plenty of options out there for different price points, and it's a hobby of experimentation, but you can you can go like the Apple way and really kind of just get something that works, and you really don't have to mess around with too much nowadays. So, great question there, Tom. All right, this is K1DBC Net Control. Oh, 05. Okay. This. Go ahead with the comment there, Fred.
Yeah. As far as expense goes, you can find pretty much anything within your price range there. As far as HF radios, you don't have to get too carried away. You go into, say, for instance, the Yaesu line. They've got their 991, and I've got their 891, and extremely reasonable price-wise. I think I got my 891 for it was right at $500, and you can add an antenna and whatnot to it, and you keep it your price tag down under well under $1,000. So it doesn't have to be too outrageous. Unless you really want to get carried away and and chase some of this, which is usually unnecessary, especially for the beginner. You don't want to get so totally overwhelmed with all the buttons and dials. Keep it simple at the beginning and learn the basics, and get yourself an inexpensive transceiver and a simple antenna. So don't get too carried away. Use the KISS method. Keep it simple. AA0JK, back to net control.
Comment.
All right, thanks there, Fred. Yeah, A0JK. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you can get into this hobby at fairly reasonable price points. And as we've talked about QRP, low power, you can buy these kits for under $100. So yeah, plenty of options out there. Yeah, KE0SUM, Jonathan, go ahead.
Well, I wanted to say I think Fred's exactly right, because this afternoon I have an 891 and I have a car, and so I took the 891, a battery, is all I took with me, a Bio-NO, and I put a mag mount on top, and I hooked up a 20-meter ham stick, plugged it in, and made quite a few contacts, and it was just that easy, and it's not all that expensive, because ham sticks are maybe like $25 a piece, and as Fred mentioned, the 891 is a really nice value HF radio, so I just thought I'd mention that. KE0SUM, back to you, Daron.
All right, KE0SUM, Jonathan. Yeah, sounds good. Yeah, that's looks like a pretty good product right there. HF plus 50 megahertz all mode mobile transceiver, under $700 there. Stable 100 watts, depending on the I guess the bands potentially. And yeah, as you mentioned, I mean, these you can kind of make these go from a base transceiver to a mobile transceiver, and kind of have different use cases for it and different scenarios that you can deploy it in. So it's these smaller type radios, they really work quite well. So yeah, that's nice. Another good promotion there of the Yaesu FT891. Very cool. All right, this is K1DBC Net Control. I don't see anybody else indicated that they had traffic. If I missed it and you had something, please let me know. But I'll throw it out to the net. Any other comments, questions, check-ins, anything else you'd like to bring up for this net? Anything we've spoken about so far? Anything further? Please call now.
Comment NRE.
Yeah, KE0NRE. Jim, go ahead.
Thanks for taking the net tonight, Daron. I just wanted to let people know that if you're still interested in doing something and maybe haven't tried slow scan TV using your HF, not your HF, but your VHF or UHF setup, the International Space Station is going to be broadcasting images from there, and they've got one scheduled, a window of time about 5 hours tomorrow morning from about 4 a.m. until about 10 a.m. our time. And it doesn't take much elaborate equipment. You could do it with your handheld. You can do it with a base station. Tune in 145.8 megahertz. Listen for the tone. If you can record that or send it directly into a decoding program or some software, you'll wind up with a nice keeper image coming down from a Russian transmission on the International Space Station. Back to net, KE0NRE.
KE0NRE, this is K1DBC Net Control. Yeah, very, very cool. Yeah, we've spoken about that a little bit, and we played it over the air. It's definitely kind of a screeching noise. I'm not going to do it here again, but yeah, these are images that are sent from the International Space Station by the Russian cosmonauts, and it's really, really cool. It's just all community-driven. But it's really just interesting to see what they do for the community. So yeah, Eris, if you Google RS0ISS, that's the call station, or the call sign of the station, the amateur radio station, RS0ISS, and SSTV. If you Google that, you'll see a site. The top one is one of them is the Eris. It's the blogspot.com. There's probably a more official one, I'm guessing, but they have more information here. They're planning for a couple of Moscow Aviation Institute MAISSTV experiment sessions are in work, targeting December 1st and 2nd. Start time 12:10 UTC to 19:10 UTC the first, and then 11:40 UTC to 17:20. So there's some updated times here, but more info online. Yeah, and this is something you could do with a handheld radio and really just an Android phone. You can find an SSTV slow scan television decoder for your phone. So you can basically just put up your HT up to your phone, and it will decode the images they're sending. And it's just some pretty interesting, some kind of historical and interesting images they've sent. So yeah, great information there. NRE.
W0TX repeater.
All right, this is K1DBC Net Control. Anyone else at the moment? Any other comments, questions, check-ins, anything else you'd like to bring up, or anything that we've spoken about so far that anybody else would like to bring up again or talk about? Please call now. All right, this is K1DBC Net Control for the Denver Radio Club Ham Learning Net. I can try to bring up a couple things here. I'm just scrolling through different images, things related. If you ever have any comments or questions, don't hesitate to let me know. I'll throw it out once more, though, at the moment. Does anybody have any comments, questions, check-ins, anything else you'd like to bring up so far? Otherwise, I can bring up a couple of stories and things over the last week, and we can bring it back to the net. We're supposed to probably be working a little bit less during the holiday season, but I'm working a little bit more, so a little bit busy in my neck of the realm. I've spoken about more at a higher level, but I help to install cell phone sites for cell providers and we're installing 10 gigabit cell phone sites. So as 5G is rolling out, we're getting a lot more work and a lot more things rolling out there. So I haven't had too much time here recently to check too much. With that, though, a great blog, as always. We talk about rtl-sdr.com. If you have any interest in software-defined radio, projects, things like that, plenty of information online there. Let's see, so the newest story here. Story titled, Technical Details on an SDR Supercluster with 8 hack RFs. A few weeks ago, they posted about a member who used their supercluster receive Starlink beacons, but details on the supercluster project itself were sparse. Now Oleg has posted a full description about it, noting that the 8 hack RFs in the system can provide up to 160 megahertz of live monitoring bandwidth. They show how each of the boards are connected to the same GPS disciplined 10 megahertz clock source, how it uses an RF splitter with LNA, and how it requires 8 separate host controllers connected to individual PCIe lines in his computer system to overcome the USB 2.0 bandwidth limits. He also shows the GNU radio script he's created that combines the 8 sources into one. They write how he's using the supercluster together with a TVKU band, LNB, and satellite dish for wideband satellite monitoring. Just looking at a photo of it, it's quite a ridiculous little setup here. I always see some people when you're I guess in general. I mean, we talk about SMA connectors, and obviously when you're connecting to different tools and equipment, you definitely want to kind of use like pigtails or something. But I often see people connecting rigid SMA connectors to each other, and I'm always afraid that there's always going to be a break there. But looking at the system here, it's quite crazy. I'm sure they probably know what they're doing. So, yeah, it's quite crazy the realm we're living in now, and what we can really do as citizens with RF.
Comment?
Yeah, A0JK, Fred, with comment. Go ahead.
Did W0CIV, Charles, were you trying to get a hold of Jonathan there with a question? Over.
Yeah, this is WD0CIV. I was just kind of wondering if anybody had any experience with these cheapy, what do you call them, Pi Star things, and if anybody had the SD chip that goes into the actual Pi Star board, just plugs in. If anybody had one of them that was not programmed but actually part of a program where you could connect to the Pi Star in the UK and start fresh and get the Pi Star thing up and running. And I don't know if that's even possible or the steps to do that, since I'm just experimenting with it right now. But anyway, I didn't know if anybody had any information on that. Anyway, yeah, I was listening to you talk on antennas and stuff, and then you timed out, of course. But anyway, we got all the information we needed on antennas there. Anyhow, this is WD0CIV, and as far as buying a radio, buy a bunch of them at the Hamfest things. That's where I got most of mine. Well, except for the first one, and then other new ones. But anyway, this is WD0CIV. We'll go ahead and turn it back to net control, or anybody else that wants it.
This is K1DBC Net Control. Yeah, very good question there. Yeah, sorry if I cut you off there or if you got cut off there. I apologize about that CIV. But yeah, no, these are plenty of experience. Plenty of people have had these. You can buy them for about $50, really, hopefully, price point. There are some newer ones, potentially maybe double that price, but I have one that I bought several years ago, and it works great for jumping on the DMR Brandmeister, as well as some of the other capabilities and whatnot. There's another one, I can't think of it at the moment, but yeah, Jumbo Spot. These if you just Google the term DMR hotspot, you'll kind of see these fairly cheap products. And then really you just have to go to a website, pistar.org, I think. Let me see what it is here. Pistar.uk. I mean, you could probably buy one with a SD card that already comes with the software on it. But essentially, you could go to Micro Center or anywhere and buy a $5, $10, 8 gig, 16 gig micro SD card, and you would put it into this device. You would download the software from their website, pistar.uk is what it is, and they give you information on how to do that. So yeah, those work well. It takes a little bit of a setup. Let me see if I can find the other option, because it's a little bit easier to set up as well. While I'm doing that, though, I'll throw it out to the net. Yeah, good question there. DMR hotspots. Haven't spoken about those too often here recently, but yeah, those are pretty interesting. So you can do D-Star, DMR, C4FM, P25, Yaesu FM, NXDN, some of the other things there. DMR4Dummies.com looks like it's a pretty good, valuable tool as well to kind of look that up.
W0TX repeater.
Yeah, this is WD0CIB. Yeah, I'll look up that information. I haven't had much time to do that, but yeah, probably what I want to do is, yeah, maybe I should buy one of them 16 whatever gig, or I don't know if they're 16 gig or not. But anyway, get a fresh SD card, and then look into the steps of having the program, downloading the programming and all that stuff onto the chip, and then I can start it out nice and fresh, and then I'll have to figure out how to copy, after I get it working, copy from that working CD, make a copy to the old one that quit working, and hopefully we can do that. But anyway, it looks like I'm going to have to do some investigation. But anyway, thanks for all your help.
Okay, gotcha. No problem. Do you have an existing one that you're trying to replace, or what do you mean by that? I mean, essentially, you can go buy a micro SD card for about $15 and basically you'll just download the software to it. But if you have an old one that you're trying to migrate stuff from, that I'm sure somebody could help with that too. But yeah, let us know for sure.
Yeah, this is WD0CIB again. Anyway, yeah, I have a unit. It was working fine, and then one day, I don't know what happened. Maybe it updated itself. Who knows? But anyway, it decided it didn't want to work anymore. It partially works, but not. You know, you can see where the radio is communicating, and that the internet and everything's hooked up correctly, but it's not actually finishing the job as far as receiving the signals back. And yeah, we use the DMR radio transmitting on like less than a watt, and I think it goes down to like a half a watt, and then into the Pi, and then out to whatever you want to talk to, Sky Hubs or Wires X or whatever. But anyway, or they got a million of them anyway, million rooms to talk to. So, but anyway, yeah, I'm gonna look into that and see if I can, figure out how to get a really good new CD programmed and everything, get everything back up and running, and then make a duplicate of it. So if it ever happens again, then I just have to pull one chip out and put the other one in, and off we go again. Anyway, I'll look into it, and thanks for your help there. This is WD0CIB. Turn it back over to net control, and we'll let you. I don't know how long the net's going to be going, so I don't want to take up all the time with this kind of stuff, because a lot of people are not interested in Pi stars and stuff, but I think they're kind of interesting, just as something else to do, kind of like slow scan TV. Anyway, haven't done that in a while either. I'll have to get back to that. Anyway, this is WD0CIB. We're going to turn back to net control.
All right, sounds good. Yeah, no worries. Absolutely. That's what this net here is for. Yeah. Real quick, open spot is the other option there. But yeah, no, if you're using Brandmeister, they have made some changes at a higher level. Back in May, at least, they decommissioned their 3101 USA master server. So that might be something you have to do. You may just need to move it to the 3102 master server. Apart from that, hopefully it shouldn't really have to change too much on these things. But yeah, that's too bad. So very cool. Yeah, I mean, again, in regards to digital, I mean, there's a digital learning net actually presented by Doug Comer, KE0DC, here locally, I believe, and you can always check in on that. It's actually same time as this learning net here, but it's a quite popular net. So yeah, a lot of people are interested in that stuff. So no problems though. With that though, I'll throw it out to the net though. Any other comments, questions, check-ins, anything else you'd like to bring up for the net so far this evening? Please call now.
But it's not going to.
I'll start taking check-ins via the Pi Star. That's really what I want to do. I'll have to talk to the. If you just key up to the DMR Brandmeister, this is K1DBC Net Control. Just really quickly talking about that, something I'll have to try to bring up to the club to see if we can start doing. Interesting way to try to mediate check-ins is by basically keying up a digital repeater or a digital hotspot, really. If you do that to a certain a club or whatever a group, I can basically see all your call signs coming in. So I'll have to talk to the call group about that, because yeah, this other digital net, he does that same thing, which is a kind of a neat thing. Is you just key up the talk group, and then you can see the call sign and name, and it makes things really easy. So with that, I'll throw it back out to the group. We normally end around this time, but it's a pretty fluid net. So if anybody has any further comments, questions, check-ins, anything else you'd like to bring up for this net so far, please call now. All right, this is K1DBC Net Control. Last few things here. Again, we're getting into the holiday season, but that's a great time for us to be able to maybe get the youth or our family into soldering and some basics of electronics. So at least for Hanukkah and for Christmas, you can get a soldering menorah or a Christmas tree. So these are just really basic kits that anybody. Ooh, that's not going to work. Or well, some basic LEDs, things like that, and maybe some chips, and again, just something in the shape of a Christmas tree. You can kind of bring to the holidays and get some basic soldering techniques in there. So really fun kits. Good. These are $5, $10, $15. You can buy these. I'm looking at a website, tindie.com. These are kits that are made by a community, and they are selling them. So really cool stuff here. This is K1DBC Net Control. I don't have much more at the moment. I'm trying to see if I can bring up anything else. But I'll throw it back out to the group. Does anybody have any comments, questions, check-ins, anything else you'd like to bring up for this net? Please call now. All right. The beginning of the net, I was playing part of a podcast, the Amp Hour podcast, an episode with Jerry Ellsworth, and she was kind of talking about her introduction into electronics and ham radio. I'll play a few more minutes of that after the net here, just through the YouTube. So if you want to stick around for that, you could check that. Again, as mentioned, more info on our club, W0TX.org. Next meeting is December 15th. Presentation is Lithium Batteries by Marcel Stieber. Alpha India 6, Mike Sierra. Batteries are a necessity for almost all portable radio operations. With the advent of modern battery chemistries, the choices available to the radio amateur are plentiful. This presentation will focus on the three common battery types: lead acid, lithium, and lithium iron phosphate. We'll discuss the pros and cons of each chemistry, common uses and misuses, and everyday application tips for your latest amateur radio projects. This takes place online. More info, W0TX.org, Google Meets link. 7 p.m. Mountain Time, the main program begins. But an hour before that, we have an Elmers session, very similar to this evening's Learning Net, just a general Q&A, show and tell. So feel free to join that as well. This is K1DBC Net Control. I don't think I have much else, so I'll probably start to wrap things up. I will throw it out to the net. I'll give one final call. Any other last-minute comments, questions, check-ins, anything else you'd like to bring up for this evening's net, please call now. All right, this is Daron, K1DBC Net Control. Thank you all so much for being here. As we come into the holiday season, I might take a break for a week, but I will also officially start sending out emails to the groups.io asking for net control operators, like we used to do on our Yahoo groups. Please look out for that. Feel free to respond to those if you'd like. But again, this is a very casual net. Any given Wednesday, I'm more than happy to help you run this in any given capacity. Again, you can take check-ins, script reading, moderating conversation, etc., etc. With that, though, we will wrap things up here. All right, this is K1DBC Net Control. Again, if you wish to contact the Learning Net with topic suggestions or to set a date to act as Net Control operator or guest Elmer, you can email us drclearningnet@gmail.com, elmer@w0tx.org, groups.io/g/ham learning net, youtube.com. You can search for us on there. Our club's call sign W0TX. You can find us in a lot of places, chat on the air. Feel free to hang out in any given capacity. So let's see here. This evening we had a total of 18 check-ins, and we'd like to thank everyone who participated. We especially appreciate our Elmers, and we thank the Denver Radio Club for allowing us to use the repeaters for this net. We invite you to join us on the third Wednesday of the month, 6 p.m. for an Elmer session prior to the regularly scheduled Denver Radio Club meeting at 7. It takes place online. Everyone is welcome. Please join us next week, 7:30 p.m., 1930 hours, for the next Learning Net. All stations, please stand by while the repeaters are placed into normal mode. It is only required if you put it in a net mode in the first place. There we go. All right, this is K1DBC Net Control. Glad to hear everybody. Glad to see people on the air. I actually forgot to mention a couple check-ins here. N1ZTT Dan and WA4MBG Bob checked in online. Apologize about that. With that, though, 7-3 all. This is K1DBC. Happy holidays to everybody. Hopefully everyone's doing well, and we'll speak to you all next week. I'll have a thing going here on the stream for a few minutes, and then we'll wrap the stream up. Everyone have a good night, and we'll talk to you soon. Jerry Ellsworth, great engineer, self-taught, has a great background, great relationship with ham radio. This Amp Hour podcast, really cool. I was playing a few minutes to begin with. Let me see if I got the right place here, and we'll play a few minutes of that for the outro here.
All right. I'm just trying to do the listening audience here proper, Dave.
Oh, how do I describe myself? That's interesting. I have a very unique background. I got into electronics when I was very young. Have always been a kind of maker-creator type. Got into a lot of trouble when I was a early teenager, like doing phone phreaking and stuff like that, and war dialing with my Commodore 64.
Nice.
Later got into, a lot of fun stuff. Actually, some of those weird numbers I found as a kid are still active. I'll tell you about that later. Wow. And got into pirate radio. Got into like really pirate radio stuff with CB radios with big amplifiers, and then got into racing later on in my teens, and then opened a chain of retail computer stores in the 90s and continued doing electronics. Yeah, everyone does in the 90s. That was a perfect time.
I know. That was the stereotype, yep.
And in 2000s, I started coming to Silicon Valley and started doing engineering without any college degree. So I just brute forced my way into startup life here in Silicon Valley. Got a reputation of the person to go to if you want to get a design done. I did some toy design and did some chip design. Eventually went to Valve Software, which is a big video game company, and helped them start their R&D lab. And from there, started my own startup, and then worked at another startup and started another startup.
All right.
So
sorry, that was rambly. I'm sorry.
That's 3 startups. I thought we only had 2 at the start of the show.
No, I only started 2, but I worked at one in between.
Oh, you started. I didn't know you started one after Valve.
Yeah, well, I started Cast AR, and then
right. Yeah, of course. Oh, sorry. Yeah. Cast AR. And then what?
That one face planted big time, which we can go over. And
but it lasted quite a long time before it face planted.
Yeah, 4 years. 4 years. And then I went to a rocket startup, which has been super cool. Can't talk too much about that. And then I just started another startup.
Oh, actually, I did not realize that's what you meant at the super stealthy startup thing at the beginning. That's what you meant.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. There you go. Right.
So Dave and I are actually not even in the know. It's not like we got
we don't
notes
know about
that
this
beforehand.
Third startup. Can you
Right.
tell us
So
about this
we're-
third startup?
we're gonna subtly, unlike Dave said there, we're gonna
Right.
subtly try and get at this over the.
Subtle's my middle
show.
name. What are you talking about?
Yeah, right. Dave, just tell me what you're talking about, Jones. The L stands for smooth.